Okay, folks, welcome back. This is your week 2 announcement for COSN 10. Professor Almeida here. And before we start to talk about anything and everything related to Ethernet, I want to circle back and touch upon last week's material so that we're all on the same page here. And I want to start with our Canvas class site. And I want to draw your attention to the Models and Topology lecture page here in week 1. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might have noticed that the lecture videos and the handouts tie directly in with the Myers chapters. Now, for whatever reason, you still have yet to pick up the Network Plus All-in-One Study Guide by Myers here, you might want to expedite that shipping, because as we're moving deeper and deeper into the material, you do not want to find yourself falling behind here. Now, it does have to be the 7th edition because that ties in with the Network Plus exam N10-007. Speaking of that exam, when you have a chance, take a moment and look at the CompTIA Network Plus exam objectives. Okay, so this is what's officially put out by CompTIA themselves, and it will give you an idea of all the things that they expect you to know for the Network Plus exam. So if you are pursuing the Network Plus, take a moment, look through the objectives. The Myers book covers those objectives. So if you study off of the Myers book and then you have your Cornell Notes, you should be in pretty good shape and be able to pass this exam on the first try. Okay, and I want to take a moment and explain something here. Between the Myers readings, the lecture videos, the Cornell Notes you're taking, the handouts, the quizzes, and we're not even getting into labs here, it might seem overwhelming that there's just so much to go through. And then you're watching this announcement video on top of that. So first things first, slow down, relax, breathe for a moment, and let me give you some free advice if I were a COSN 10 student. Because I'll tell you, back in the day when I took the CompTIA Network Plus, I passed on my first try. I just had a study guide like this, and honestly, I wish I had this Myers book. I had a study guide, I had my own notes, and I watched a bit of Professor Messer. So let me give you some free advice if I were a COSN 10 student. I would start by going through the readings, okay? I would go through the readings here, and any concepts or key terms or alphabet soup of acronyms I would come across, I would put those into my Cornell Notes template. So I would download the template, I have it open in Word, and I would start jotting things down. Fortunately, one of your peers was nice enough to say yes and let me share their Chapter 1 summary here. So here is the Cornell Notes, so thank you, kind student, or Jane student in this case. And you'll see that they chunked their topics into key bullet points. And the reason for this, let's say later on when you're ready to take the MTA or the Network Plus and you need to refer back to your Cornell Notes, you can quickly skim to the topic you want to look at. Let's say it's the network layer of the OSI model, and you can go through and look at the key bullet points that you need to remember. Now, you don't want to have so much where it becomes a distraction, and you don't want to have so little to where it's useless. And you'll notice that Jane's student here included the layer numbers, right? Layer 1, Layer 2, Layer 3. And the reason for this is because sometimes when we talk about different protocols, like let's say IPv4 or IPv6, you'll sometimes hear them referred to as Layer 3 protocols. And you want to be able to take Layer 3 and think, okay, that's the network layer. Now, if you don't remember your OSI model, remember this. Please do not throw sausage pizza away, okay? Please do not throw sausage pizza away. So use that to help you to remember the OSI model. Now, you'll also come across the TCP/IP stack. Just know where those layers fit into the OSI model. But going back to Layer 3 here, you'll see your alphabet soup of acronyms, right? PDU, IP, what are those? That's where the key term side of this, right? The key term column, that's where this comes in here, okay? So you see there's PDU, protocol data unit, you see it was defined. So I hope this gives you an idea of what you should be doing, okay? This is what you want to aim for. You'll also notice that the student highlighted certain things, whether it's for themselves that they really need to remember, or maybe the book clued you in and said, hey, you really need to remember this, okay? Remember, these Cornell Notes, you're not doing this for me, okay? This is for you to help you study, okay? Remember that. Now, finally, I want to show you the summary and the reaction here. Now, in all honesty, there could have been just a little bit more, but the summary is still pretty solid. And then as far as reaction goes, what will you do to help you to remember this stuff, right? Whether it's watching more videos or making flashcards. Remember, you're not trying to impress me. This is for you. So when I go in to grade this, I'm going to look at your notes, see if it's pretty thorough, and then give you the full credit if it is, right? I want you to be able to use these notes to study off of when it comes time to take the MTA, or if you choose to, the Network Plus. All right, so that's the Cornell Notes. So you've done your reading, you're going through the Cornell Notes. Now you're going to supplement the readings with these videos, and later on I'm going to start adding on my own videos. I just haven't had the time to do it, so you'll see there's a couple of videos here from Professor Whalen and Professor Messer on YouTube. Professor Whalen does a pretty good job of explaining these things. Professor Messer, this is great material, especially if you're taking CompTIA exams, whether it's the A+, Network Plus, or Security Plus. And it's also useful, let's say later on when you do have those certs and you need to renew them, you can quickly go on to Professor Messer and work your way through the materials that you need to study up on, or if you need to look at the book, you can do that too. So use the videos as supplementary material. You have the handouts here, they tie directly into the readings. Okay, so that's what I would do as a COSN 10 student. So I hope this helps you out. If it does, hit that like button. If it doesn't, well, you know what to do. Okay, labs. Now, it may seem like that you were just thrown in at our first class meeting, especially if you didn't read the documentation. What's this Wireshark? What's the point of it? And you don't have to be an expert in Wireshark. The whole idea with these labs is to give you hands-on training, and especially with the first Wireshark labs, to be able to see what exactly goes on when your computer or device talks or communicates on the network. What kind of things are getting passed around. And that's what you see in your Wireshark capture files, right? When you looked at the sample capture file, you were seeing all these different protocols and these different frames there. And you kind of got a taste of that when you started your capture session, and then you went to go visit a web page, and then you stopped the capture and you went to go look for that HTTP GET request and the OK response. So that's what you can do with Wireshark, right? You were introduced to that, and again, don't feel the need to get it 100% correct where, if for some reason, let's say Chrome cached your web page, oh, I got the HTTP GET request, but I didn't get that OK response, I got something else. That's perfectly fine if I see it in screenshot. You can always try another browser if you really wanted to, but again, I want you to get the gist of using Wireshark, and that also goes for the review questions. We're not trying to trick you here. A lot of times the answers can be found in the labs themselves. You can always Google it. You can always collab with each other, right? Don't feel like you got to sit there all by yourself in class. Talk to each other, but just remember you do have to turn your own work. But do talk to each other, help each other out. I'm circling the room also in class, so make sure that you're using the class meetings wisely. All right, so with that said, let's jump into Ethernet. Now, in all honesty, with chapters 3 and 4, when we're talking about Ethernet, the different types of Ethernet, and converting between different number systems, there's going to be a lot of memorization going on. There really is no way around that. So that's where your Cornell Notes are especially going to come in. And I have classic Ethernet open right in front of me here, so I'm just going to use what I have here in Myers. So for example, a classic 10 base T Ethernet, you need to know things like what's the speed of 10 base T, okay, 10 megabits per second. What's the signal type? Is it baseband or broadband? Okay, so know the difference. In this case, baseband. What's the distance? No limit. Topology. What is it? Is it a star topology? Is it logical bus? Is it a physical star? What kind of cables are we using? In this case, Cat3 or better with UTP, or unshielded twisted pair with RJ45 connectors. So you might see tables listing out all the different Ethernet types, whether it's classical 10 base T or gigabit Ethernet. You're just going to have to memorize it and just know it for your certification exams. There really is no way around that. All right, with the labs here, you'll see that there are two labs on this page. You have a lab involving ARP, or Address Resolution Protocol. That's another Wireshark lab. And then you have this binary worksheet. In all honesty, what I would do when you come to class, do the ARP lab first with Wireshark, knock that out of the way, and later on you can always do this binary worksheet. So if you're not sure on how to convert, go back and watch the videos. You might need to Google it, especially if you need to know how to do it using the subtraction and division method. So if you're not sure, there's plenty of places where you can get help. We can do some examples in class if you need to. So those are your labs for this week. And then finally, we have the binary game submission. So this is Cisco's little thing here. You can play a game with binary numbers. You do need a Cisco account. It's totally free. If you've been working with Cisco Networking Academy or NetAcad, let's say with COSN 5, your account credentials should work here. So do sign up for that Cisco account and submit a screenshot of the game. Try for your highest score. And you know what? Whoever gets the highest score in this class, maybe I'll throw in some extra credit. We'll talk about that in class. Anyway, I hope this helps you out. Pace yourself accordingly. You know, breathe. Do a little bit at a time. Just set aside some time every day to knock this stuff out. We'll see you in class. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Ask each other in the open collab forum. And thanks for watching.